Hello, and welcome back to our series where we are creating a people and culture management system. This series is brought to you by Prairie HR Solutions. My name is Jake Finger, Principal Consultant. And if you haven't watched any of the videos up to this point, I suggest you do so because we created a very simple HRIS type system to where we can create a record from our UI here. We can retrieve a record, we can update it, as well as not necessarily delete it, but archive it. We don't want to delete anything in HR. We just want to simply take it out of view and store it somewhere. And in this video, what I would like to do is give our UI, this record management piece, the ability to communicate with our users. Now, it comes in many forms. I mean, some people do banners. We have currently little drop down boxes that are hidden here. They're not really drop down boxes, but they're divs that are hidden and essentially come on and show when an individual presses buttons and whatnot. But what I would like to do is take all of this a step further and create a pop-up box that appears every time this page is opened or rendered. And that box, that it's called a modal, that modal will contain the instructions for how to run this whole thing here. And we can use that same modal and just change the contents of it dynamically depending on the situation. So we can essentially turn it into sort of an alert type function or a notification type function as well. So let's go ahead and do that. And when we created this, we used a front end toolkit by the name of Bootstrap. So let's go over to Bootstrap and see if they have modals. So let's look in their components here and see if they have, let's see, they have toasts. See what a toast is. Okay, so yeah, it's just one of these that pop up here. Yep, no, don't want that. So let's just use a modal here. Let's see what they have in terms of modal. Fixed. Okay, so it's show. Okay, got it. So that one's not bad. We can put a title up here, and our main alert box goes here. We can probably get rid of that save change, close and close. So let's see. Okay. So yeah, so let's just grab this. Okay, I actually like that. Because what this static backdrop is, you can't actually go outside and close it. Can't even hit escape. You have to hit close. So let's grab this one here. What we'll do is we'll copy this and then we'll go back over to our code. Okay, let's find where we would like to place this. Don't want to place it up here in this section. Really like to place it down here in the record management, so it's part of the record management and is hidden when it's not seen. So let's look at here. So yep. So right here, right after our record management text here. So let's find that. So category, record management. Yep. Let's just put it right here. Let's copy and paste it. Well, actually, let's make ourselves a section comment here. This will work. There we go. And then since we copied that over from Bootstrap, let's just go ahead and put it in right here. Now let's save this and see if this works, because I think we're not going to do a button per se. Okay, so let's refresh this. Okay, yeah, we don't really want a button. We want this to come up as that page gets done loading. But let's just see if it works. Okay, yep, it works. Can't click off of it. I can either close it by understood, close, or the X. Okay. If it's not rendering, oh, it's rendering on the page, so that's good. So we can just hit close. So let's go ahead and get rid of this button, and we'll create something dynamically with our JavaScript. So we don't want our ID to be a static backdrop. Let's change it to something we can use. And let's just say records notification modal. I guess that'll work. Okay, so this data keyboard false, that means that anytime you click out of it, it closes. This -1 shows that it's in front of everything. Hidden is true. There's our dialog. Content header. Okay, so this is the modal title. Let's change this here. And as you can see, we're going to have to change this as well to whatever we change here. So let's change this to records notification modal title. There we go. And we'll just copy this. Do that there. And then, so this data BS dismiss modal is how you close. Just like the button opened it, this body will close it. And let's see, let's give ourselves a P tag here. And let's give that P tag an ID of records notification. Just do modal body, if I spell it right. And then what this is going to contain is all of our stuff. So we don't need this button. We don't need an understood button. Well, we'll leave it in for now. Figure out if we can use it. So what we're going to have to do here is we are going to have to go up and essentially grab the element, this records notification modal, which is essentially assigned to the whole thing here. We can get that by document.getElementID. And then what we're going to have to do is use a new piece here. I think, let's see, modal dialog. Let's go back over here to our Bootstrap and see what we got here on how to open it. Because I don't want to open it within HTML. I'd like to open it. Yeah, see, we don't want to open it like this or this toggle piece. What we'd like to do is open it with just straight JavaScript. I think that would be helpful. Okay, so yep, that's exactly what they're doing here. And then that's just event listener. We don't need that. Okay, we don't need to get any crazy with that. Full screen. Okay, so here it is. So this is what we're going to look at. So we can close it, create a modal with a single line of JavaScript. So this could actually activate it as a modal. So let's go ahead and use this actually. We'll use this type. One thing that I'm really kind of looking for is this new Bootstrap modal. Let's go back to our code here and see if we can write that here. So let's go over to our JS. To our operations JS, and then let's figure out when we want that to, automatically open. I'm thinking that after it runs all of our DD lists, and then, once it populates all of our DD lists, and maybe this category block, once it populates our category block, let's add it in right here. There we go. So let's first start by creating ourselves a variable, and we'll call it, we won't use bar, we'll use let. And let's call it what they called it, just to get it working, and then we can change it. Get element by ID, and our element by ID is going to be the records notification modal. So now we have that stored in a variable. And let's create a modal variable. And what was written there was this new Bootstrap modal. So, and then now this is only working because if you remember, we have our, scroll all the way up here, we have our Bootstrap loaded before the modal. So if we didn't have this up here, or we tried to render it ahead, then it wouldn't work because it would have no idea what new Bootstrap piece is. But that new Bootstrap piece exists within the Bootstrap framework there. And what we're wanting, the modal that we're trying to get is going to be this. My modal. And then what we're going to want to do with that is show it. So we can simply do modal.show. Like that. Okay, so we created a variable. We got our notification modal. Let the modal, where we declared another variable just simply called modal. And that is using this new Bootstrap function here. This built-in function for a modal. And what we could do is, if it didn't have a modal already put in here, we can just use this new Bootstrap modal to render it. Our information is a modal, but since we already have it, we'll just pass that there, and then we show the modal. So let's save this and then see what we got. Let's come back over here. Let's refresh this. Perfect. So now we can click out of this. It renders it in the back page. That's good. Or the background there. That's good. And there's our P. Okay, good. So we can close it by, understood doesn't have any functionality to it yet, but close does. And then we can go on as normal. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So now what we can do is actually take our modal here, which is right here. Here we are. We can take this piece and actually move it up into a global variable, and then that should still work here. So let's do that, and then we can always clean this up later. But now this shouldn't have changed anything. Let's just make sure that it didn't. Yep, perfect. So now when we run this, come down here and I'll create a comment here to make sure that it's easy to be found. Okay, so now when we, there we go. Now when we run this here, the one thing that we're going to want to do is set the title. And I think for now, what we'll do is we will leave our title static. So this modal title, let's just do Prairie PCM. Let's do instructions. Maybe we will change the title, because if we're going to use it, 1 for instructions and then 2 for notifications, we are going to have to change this inner text here. And then this P. So let's work on this P here, this P tag. So what we want to do is we want to grab our document, get element by ID, and the ID that we're going to want, because we're wanting to change essentially the guts of this P tag. We want to replace these 3 dots with, some text. So this is records notification modal body. That's what we're going to need to grab. And what we're going to want to do is, we don't want to set the value of that. We want the inner text of it. Want that. And the inner text, we want to set that equal to, let's just for now say, welcome to the Prairie PCM records management. Something like that. We'll just get rid of the. No, that's fine. Okay, so let's now save this, because what's going to end up happening is, before it even does this modal.show, it's going to update this piece right here. So let's go back to our page and let's refresh this. And there we go. So now we've dynamically changed the inside piece here. And again, we probably, I'm debating on if we really need a user to understand something or not. I don't know. Let's build out the rest of it and see. The one thing that I did want to do, though, is let's change the background of. Well, first, let's make this dynamic as well. So let's take our records title and set that also with our JavaScript. So let's come down here, find it. Let's just do it in order here. We'd like to do our title first. There we go. And we want to set that inner text to if I spell the name right, PCM records management instructions. Okay, good. And then, what we probably should do for this title here is this title header, or actually right here. Let's give this a class of text center as well. Just to keep it somewhat aligned. We may have to do something different, but we'll see. But now, instead of having, let's come back over here and I'll show you what I want to do. You notice that we have this theme here, and while we're building this, we're having this theme look just like our Prairie HR Solutions branding here with this dark brown and this lighter brown. What I like to do is keep up with that theme, and then maybe in the back here, the title, we change it to that dark brown with white lettering. And then this here can be white, maybe even the footer, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so let's go do that real quick. So let's look at our footer. Yep, it does have a footer for a class, and it does have a header for a class. Yep, modal header, mobile footer. So let's go over to our CSS file that is being called here. And now our record section is 551E9, which is that dark brown. And we made that important, and our color is white. So what we can do, just to illustrate how to do this, and then what we'll do is we'll lump it in together, is this is a modal header, which is the class that we're trying to identify, which needs the dot to determine or to state it's a class. And then what we're going to want to do is change this background and text color to this. So now if we were to save this and then come back, what should happen is that header should be this color right here. Yep. Good. Perfect. Maybe I should do something. Yeah, maybe we'll do something with this and make this white. But let's get the footer done too. And since we're going to do the same exact thing, we could either put this all in a root, which we may end up doing depending on how much we deviate from Bootstrap. But since we're going to do the same thing to our footer, we can simply add the same selector here, or the same code to a different selector. And how we can do that is we can separate it with a comma and then just do modal footer. Now, if you'll look, we have the record section that's the same, our modal header that's the same, and our modal footer. So instead of creating a whole new line, we could just simply put it all right here. And then we can just delete that. Okay, so let's save this and then see how that looks. We'll refresh it. Ooh. Well, we got it. Not sure I like the color scheme, but maybe we'll change that to the lighter version here. But let's see if we can take care of this button here. So let's go over to our code, our page here, and see where that little X is. Type button, class button, close. So we could just do that. Well, let's see how that's going to look, because this is a button. But the one thing that I'm unsure of right now is if this button is, if I just do the background as brown and the text is white, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. So let's actually create a different class right now to play with. And actually what I think I'm going to do is, instead of using this brown, I'm going to go ahead and use the lighter brown, because that was pretty dark. And let's just add on this and see how that turns out. Because what we're doing is we're going to set the background and the text, the background to the brown color and the text to a white color. And let's see if that X is a background or a white. Okay, so that's that. So yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to do a little bit more work on this, because it's there, but it's not there. So let's pull this out. And I like that light brown a little bit better. So let's pull this out here. And what we'll do is we will create a new CSS selector just for our button close. And our button close, we want to simply do the background as white. And we'll make that important just in case we have to override something, or in case Bootstrap tries to override it. Yeah, let's try that. See if that did anything where we wanted it, because we'd like to have we'd like to have an X up here. I see the box vary so slightly when we hover it. You can see it over here better. So you can see that, but yeah, we don't want that. So let's refresh this and see how it turned out. Yep, so there's our background button. So let's actually do something different. Instead of messing with the background, let's just change the color. Because if not, I'll have to look into Bootstrap and see exactly what their close button is. Because off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Okay, so there's the dark, and it looks like it hovers. So let's just look over here at Bootstrap here real quick and see if we can find. Okay, there's our events. Okay, CSS. Yeah, so I think what I'm going to have to do is actually go in and change that button itself. And do some CSS work to, because when you come over here and look at this, it is a button tag and the class is button close. So it's not going to be a simple change. I'm going to have to do the baseline plus the outline and all that, and then try and get it somewhat close. But right now it's essentially this, this dark blackish color here. So we'll leave it like that. And so now we've changed the modal to where it doesn't actually have anything in it as it exists, but we've dynamically changed it. We'll get rid of this period here. We don't want the period. But we've dynamically changed it to where we can update certain things. So Prairie PCM management instructions, that can change to notification or, alert or whatever it is that we want. It's probably going to be notification or however it is you want to build it. And then in the same grounds, we can actually change the content of this. And I think what I'm planning on doing is getting rid of that understand button. And one thing that I'm going to leave the understand button. And this is the reason why I'm going to leave that understand button. I just realized it would make it a lot easier. What I'm planning on doing, and again, if you're building one your own way, hopefully I was able to give you enough baseline to where you can continue on with it, and I pushed you in a direction that you'd like to go. But if somebody wants to update a record, we don't want them to just go in and hit an employee number and then hit update or archive. We want to make sure that they're aware of the next step. So already having that box up here that gives the instructions, we also want to bring up an alert when somebody presses archive or update record, to where maybe that pops up and then says, have you retrieved the record first and have you updated the appropriate fields prior? That way, if somebody said, yes, I understand, not I understand, but yes, I did, then it can continue running the code. And then, no, I didn't, then it would just cancel that function. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to do with that extra button there. And then I will just remove it with JavaScript. And we have there's previous videos. Go, if you want, you can go check them out to see how I'm going to do this. But I can essentially, for this record management instruction piece, when it runs this code, I can actually just remove this. I can just get rid of it and I can get rid of both these buttons actually, and then just leave the X there. Maybe keep that button. But I can do that all with JavaScript. Okay, so good. So I'm going to end this video now. We just created a modal that can be used for instructions as well as alerts or notifications. And if you enjoy what we're doing with these series, please let us know by hitting that subscribe button, and we know to continue to create them. If you have an idea of something that you would like us to cover, maybe go more in depth on, please shoot us an email, which is inside of our description box right there. And we'll be happy to see what we can do. And until next time, please take care.